here's the deal. A little bit of history. 3,000 years ago, okay, a short red-headed guy called King David, okay, formed Jerusalem as the capital of the Jewish people, okay? He took it from the Jebusian, who are a small nation that was lived here. You see the wall down there? This is the new wall that was built here. The walls today of the old city are only from 1547. Okay, so it's around 500 years old, which is basically nothing in a city that has 3,000 years of history. So back in the time of King David, the wall wasn't here, of course, but if you'll notice, you see we're on the slope of the mountain. You see that? You see the angle, okay? Where this is the top and this is the bottom. Okay, bless you. And that slope of this mountain called Mount Moriah, okay, Mount Moriah, on the slope of the city, King David built his city, okay? So imagine beyond those walls. By the way, the city was excavated. Anyone that's extending, make sure you go there. It's beautiful. You go underground. You can walk through the water system of the ancient city, okay? The son of King David, King Solomon, who is in the Bible considered to be the wisest man alive, okay, built the first temple for the Jews, okay? So he had a town on the slope of a mountain surrounded by a wall, and naturally where he's going to build the temple is at the highest place. This is a human thing. Go look for shrines wherever around the world. Usually people have a thing with taking them up, okay, building them on the top of a hilltop. The temple that was built by King Solomon, okay, in around 3,000 years ago, was later destroyed in the year 586 by a nation, an empire back then, the Babylonians, okay? Babylonians in Babylon is what we call today Iraq, okay? The Babylonians come over here, destroy the temple of King Solomon completely. We have no remains from this temple whatsoever, okay? When they conquered Jerusalem, they sent the Jews to Babylon for exile. Okay, the Jews are in exile in Babylon for 70 years. And what do the Jews sing? On the rivers of Babylon?
There we went.
On the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down. Wait, it's our driver, just a second. כן, אטרש. סבבה, אחלה חס להיפגש שם, יאללה, ביי. ביי. Okay? Okay, so only a group like you would know the song and the lyrics, okay? Other than that. So in the 70s, when I had an afro this big, okay, and I was walking through the desert there, okay, chilling, this is where this song came out. And actually it comes from the Jewish scriptures. Al ne'arot Bavel shem yeshavnu v'bachinu v'zochen et Zion. Or the rivers of Babylon where we sat down and cried over Zion. Why did they cry? Because the temple was destroyed. Why Zion? Zion is another name of the land of Israel and Jerusalem. Okay? Then the Jews in 516 BC are allowed to come back to the land of Israel, and they build a second temple. We'll call it 2A. Okay, version 2A, and version 2A of the temple was also disappeared, we don't know, destroyed throughout the history. We have no remains from that. Years and years passed by, and we get to the 1st century BC when Herod, the same time Herod built Masada. Remember that? Between the year 37 and the year 4. The numbers are not that important. But, so, he wants to build a big worship place for the Jews. By the way, more to glorify himself than actually for the Jews, and he wanted the Jews to love him. Now, he still have the same topography. He has a mountain, right? He has a city. He wants to build over here a big place where thousands of Jews that do pilgrimage to Jerusalem can gather. Okay, by the way, anybody knows what are the 3 holidays that Jews are supposed to do pilgrimage to Jerusalem? Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot, when we sit in the Sukkah, exactly, in the huts that we made. So thousands and tens of thousands of Jews came here. So he said, okay, now I have a slope of mountain, hang in there. Okay, now listen, this is gonna explain what the Western Wall is. So he has a hilltop, and he wants to build a flat area when they can all gather. He has a few choices, either to tear down the top of the mountain, right, to make it flat, but that's a lot of work. What he decides to do is very genius. He decides to build a set of retaining walls, okay, over here, one, a west one, a north one, an east one, and a very short, low north one. Is that clear?
Yes.
So now we have a set of 4 retaining walls. In between the walls, he builds a set of arches that are going to hold this ramp. Is that clear? And now you have a ramp, which is flat, okay? Look over here. Now you're going to get that, okay? We're standing over here looking to this direction. A west retaining wall, a south retaining wall, a north one, an east one, and a north one. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Now when he has this flat area, only on top of it, he actually builds the temple. Guys, the yellow part, this is actually the temple, okay? Now, on top of the temple, over here, there's a few areas. That was for the Jews, but anyone, back then, anyone could go, Jews and non-Jews, to walk around the square over here. And then there was another small, low fence or whatever, and from that point on, only Jews could go. There's a sign there that they found, okay, which is now in Turkey, okay, which says only Jews are allowed beyond this point. If you're passing this point, you're risking your life, okay? Jews knew that only Jews can go. And then there was another circle that only the priests could go. Priest, anyway, anyone knows the name of priest in Hebrew? Kohen. Perfect, Kohen. Guys, anyone here carrying the name Kohen or Kahana or Katz? Okay, you are? Okay, and did your family change the name when they came to America, or they're carrying? Okay, so if they change the name, it's different. But if you go to Israelis that carry the name Kohen or Katz or Kahana, okay, no Israeli will take this name just, because it's a nice name. Anyone that carries this name is a straight descendant of the priests that served over here. Okay, that's a little bit mind-blowing. Okay, thousands of years those people, because only priests could carry this name Kohen. Now inside here, inside the building, only a few priests could go in, and in the Holy of Holies, in the center of that building, only one priest could go, the high priest, and only one day a year, which is Yom Kippur. Okay? In Yom Kippur he could go in. By the way, an anecdote, and it's true, when the guy went in, usually an older person, they used to tie a rope over his ankle. Why?
So if he
dies or faints or whatever, nobody can go in and grab him, they'll have to pull him out. Okay? So we'd go inside. Unfortunately, during the rebellion of the Jews in the year 70, the same time as Masada happened, remember I said the temple was destroyed. When I said the temple was destroyed, the Romans destroyed the yellow building, the temple itself. They actually tried to knock down the retaining walls, but they couldn't. Okay, they knocked down a few of the first lines of stones, but they couldn't tear the whole thing up. Think about how big the building. Okay, later on, if you extend or whatever, there's a beautiful tour taking you through what is called the Western Wall tunnels. What happens today, the Muslim Quarter is built over here. So you walk along under the Muslim Quarter, along the base of the wall. Okay, guys, the building bricks over there. The biggest building block in the world was found over here. It's 10 times bigger than the biggest stone in the pyramids in Egypt. Okay, it's amazing. It's amazing. You go there, it's really amazing, and you can have a tour. So once they destroyed that and they tried to knock down a few of the stones and then left it. So actually, if you got what I said, okay, the Western Wall, you see this red part? This is the Western Wall. This is what is exposed today. Okay, now take that, glue it over there and you get the whole story. Okay, so actually, in the time that the temple stood up here, the only significance of the Western Wall was just a wall, just a retaining wall. And there used to be a street over here that people used to go and shop. And now I have a lame joke, it was called Wall Street, okay? Over here, they walk over here. When they were walking back then, when there was a temple, they could walk next to this wall, just a wall, like this wall, whatever. Okay, just a retaining wall holding what is actually important at the top. Once the temple was destroyed and once Jews were sent to exile, it took thousands of years for us to come back, the place that was, how come this became holy? Just a retaining wall. Because the Muslim Quarter was built over that. And the closest that Jews could get to where the temple was, or the Holy of Holies, this is the closest point, okay? Now the question is, there's a lot of articles and books, whatever, what is actually holy? Okay, what's the meaning of the word holy? Okay, so holy is what we make holy, okay, basically. And again, without undermining the significance of the Western Wall, you're now going to come, oh, it's just the Western Wall, it's just a wall, retaining wall. But no, if hundreds of Jews have been praying towards here, and coming here, and doing the effort, and putting their hands over there, and bringing the prayers, and putting the small notes that they ask from God something, okay, which bring a little bit of our, energy and our meaning, whatever, that's already holy, okay? And the wall itself, as a wall, is not the significance. I think the people are the significance. Questions till now? Yes.
Yeah, why did King Herod build that for the Jews if they enslaved them, and then he
built it because King Herod wanted the Jews to love him. Okay? Remember, he was a son, he considered himself Jewish, he was the son of converted Jews, and he always had this conflict. On one hand, glorifying himself, okay? And making sure that the Romans will like him, okay? On the other hand, making sure that the locals, the Jews, will let him continue rule. Okay, so those few things, so he decided to build that. By the way, if you think about it in project-wise, okay, it's unbelievable. That at the same time, he had a few projects going in, and each one of them is, guys, the building block that I told you, okay, today, I had a tour of engineers over there, they have no idea how they moved it. With the gear we have today, That's going to be almost undoable to move the stone, and not only move it. Guys, they laid it one over the other. He was so genius. You know how you have when you stand next to a skyscraper or a tall building, you stand there, you have this feeling it's tilting, right? He knew that. And every stone here is laid back a little bit, an inch, less than an inch, so when you stand there you won't have this feeling. That's one thing. The other thing, it adds stability to the whole structure. Guys, that's been standing here for 2,000 years. Didn't move, okay? Yes?
Are the smaller bricks on top newer?
Yes, the smaller bricks on top are newer. They're being built. I told you that the first bricks were knocked down by the Romans. By the way, later we're going to go down. You see over there, down there, look, you see there's two parts of the western wall. Look to the left part. You see over there beyond the bridge, the wooden bridge, you see that? That's the place of worship. That's the western wall. But also the right one in front of us, that's still the same wall. Architecture-wise, it's the same wall. The only difference, they declared this part as an open-air archaeological park, okay? And you can go there and actually see the original stones bricked from the top falling down there. As I said, between 1948 and 1967, we had no access to here. We couldn't even come close to here, the western wall. We had to look away from afar to the old city. Once we gain control of over this territory and also the Temple Mount, okay, there's our Minister of Defense back then. His name is Moshe Dayan, a guy with a patch, one-eyed guy, those that remember. He makes a decision. You can call it stupid, funny, historian, important, whatever. He decides that the Temple Mount, only the square at the top, okay, we're not going to run it. We're going to give it back to the Muslims. There's a committee which is called the Waqf. The Waqf is the committee that runs all the holy places for Muslims all around the world and in Israel. He says, you're going to run what's going up there. Now we live in an absurd, in a weird situation where it's all Israel. We have a say on who goes in and who goes out. We have no say about what's happening on top of the mountain. Okay, none whatsoever. So, to give you an example, until the second Intifada in 2001, when the Palestinians uprised against Israel again, we could have gone up there to the plaza and visit the two structures, go into the Dome of the Rock and go into the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and I did many times. Okay, beautiful. In 2001, when the second Intifada starts, the Palestinians or the Arabs over here, because this is the thing, who owns it? It's not the Palestinians, it's not Jordan the way it used to be, it is kind of Israel. The Waqf actually runs it. The Waqf decided that only Muslims can go into the two structures. Think about it, okay? It's a worship place, millions of tourists come every year, but they decided that, so now you can go to the plaza, walk around, but you're not allowed to go into the two structures, okay? That's the situation today. Questions, anything? Awesome.